So we're talking about the do's and don'ts of talking about race in 2020. Let's break it down. Daniel, thanks so much for joining us. So should we be talking about race right now? I mean, I know it's all over the news. It's in our streets, it's in our homes, it's in our schools, but should we be talking about it? Should we be avoiding the conversation? Like, where do you see it going?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I think it's always been going in a very dangerous and delicate place. I think America was founded in danger. It was founded in the notion of endangering other people to enable another people, based not only on race, but on culture, on geography, place. But within delicacy, I think there's hope. I think we're on the precipice of either something that is even more dangerous than it is now, or we're on the precipice of real change for the people who need it the most. We're in a dual crisis, a global pandemic and a fight for social justice. Both of them require our attention in terms of public health, and this dual crisis has caused us to stop, think, consider, and, well, pray.
This is why I think it's so important for us to talk about this right now. Because in my experience, most people feel uncomfortable having a racial conversation, especially when there's already tension that's kind of happening. So I want to get really deep into what does someone do? And this is so exciting to me, because people come and ask this kind of stuff all the time, but no one wants to tell them. What do you do if you are not a person of color? How do you begin the conversation or come into the conversation? What do you think are the main things that someone should consider when beginning to have that conversation when you don't come from that community?
It's a really great question. I think there are 4 facets to this: acknowledgement, accountability, apology, and then action. I think acknowledgement is key. Acknowledging that there is systemic racism, decentering yourself if you're not a BIPOC person, then leads to accountability. What haven't you done? Can you do an equity audit upon yourself, your family, the place where you work, your community? I think apology is key. People have been harmed. This is a mental health issue. This is about lynching and murder and the incapacity for so many parts of America to love the Black body. And then there's action. Action can be one word, one tweet. I think we have to talk about scale when we talk about action. It's not on BIPOC people to solve this. It is on white people, non-BIPOC people, to really think about every day, what are the minor and major actionable items that I can affect in my person and in my place?
I think the first step too is also getting rid of the fear of not knowing, right? And I think that everyone has got to be okay with the fact that there are parts about this conversation on both sides that we don't know. And understanding that we don't understand, I think, is one of the first things that we can offer that equals the playing field within the conversation. You know, neither one of us are experts. However, we both are learning some information from each other. And I think when we establish that, when you go in, it makes people feel more comfortable, you know, and also it takes the burden. You know, I hate sometimes when people are coming to me and they're expecting me to speak for a race. You know, I can speak of my experience and my relation to that, but I'm also not the voice of every person Black, you know, and I think it's important to kind of, you know, understand that. Let me ask you a question. Is there a time, because right now I see posts, I see tweets, and people are like, check on your Black friends, you know, they're not okay, you know, or, you know, they're probably going through it emotionally. But I know for me too, I don't want to talk about it all the time. I want to talk about it, but I don't want to talk about it all the time. When do we talk about this? Like, is there, or should we be all the time? Like, am I tripping?
No, a part of this is mental health for all of us. This is about wellness. This right here is a frame of captivity and creativity. We are being held captive, and it's a privilege, right? Anyone who's looking at us or hearing us right now, they've taken a breath, they're alive, and we know throughout the course of this conversation, Americans, people all over the world are going to die. With that, we do have to talk about wellness, and I think so much of it is boundaries. Any good psychologist will tell you have to establish boundaries for yourself and for the people that you love. And I think particularly for BIPOC people, boundaries is all about wellness and mental health and the preservation of self. When you're on an airplane and they announce, do you remember when we were on airplanes and they would announce if there's a loss in cabin pressure, the face mask will come down. If there's a child next to you, put yours on first and then the child next to you. Now, when I wasn't a parent, I never understood that. I said, when that face mask comes down, it's going on my child first. But of course, what they're getting at is that if you lose oxygen, if you lose consciousness, you're both going to die. So it's very similar to that. You have to take care of yourself first. You really are not going to be much use to anyone, unless you take care of yourself, eat right. Another way to look at it is that I feel that so many BIPOC people have been deployed, regardless. They've been deployed. It is up to us, it is up to the person to determine and to define their deployment. I know many Black professionals who don't want to have anything to do with it. That's fine. I'm engaged. I know that you're engaged. That's also fine. So I think defining your boundary is very important, consequential even.
Awesome. I love it. So thank you so much, Daniel, for giving us a talk, breaking it down. So don't be afraid of the conversation, right? I think that's what we're saying. So engage it, be respectful of people's boundaries, where they are, where you are. Go on your own journey before attempting to go down someone else's, right? But in either way, continue the conversation. And hopefully we all get to a much better place. So thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you for breaking it down. We appreciate it so much.
Hey, thank you, Caress. Thank you for letting me break it down.
This hour of local news is made possible by contributions from the Friends of PBS, members of your PBS station. Thank you. If you have comments about Arizona PBS News, please contact us at one of the addresses on your screen. Thank you.
There's never been a more important time to make sure facts and the truth are driving conversation. Washington Week is an island of civil discourse in a chaotic media environment. On Friday nights, we gather the best reporters in the nation to unpack what's really happening and have a conversation that's not about point of view, but about informing the American people.
Washington Week.
All new, Friday night at 7 on Arizona PBS.